You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Brian Kelly was on the SEC Coaches Teleconference on Wednesday. If you're just joining, the John Emery news, John Emery has a torn ACL. He's done for the season. That news had not broken when Brian Kelly was on the teleconference, so he was not asked about that. In spite of that, however, Brian Kelly did say that so far the team has responded well to that loss Sunday against USC as they move here into week 2 with Nichols coming in.
I was proud of our guys. I mean, it's a short week, right? I mean, we were out there in full gear, 96 degrees, going at it hard on what would normally be an off day for us. And they had the right mindset, the right attitude to go out there and compete. Everybody was tired. Everybody was sore. We didn't get home until Monday at 5 a.m. So I was proud of the way our guys went at it. And they'll be back at it today in the same fashion.
So a quick turnaround. Certainly the disadvantage of playing on Sunday, but it's also why you schedule the FCS opponent on the short week. And I think we're all anticipating this game to go a certain way. To say that LSU, a physically superior team, should win this game with ease, and you should have the opportunity to get your backups in the game or get your starters out. Someone asked me this morning, hey, what are you hoping to see against Nichols? I am hoping to see LSU starters get out of the game as quickly as possible with ACLs intact and get as many young guys into the game to get experience. And I think Brian Kelly is, in some respect, thinking the same thing. And he said specifically at safety, you're probably going to see a bit of a rotation and a youth movement there.
I think at the safety position, we're looking at Kylan, Deshaun Spears to definitely get a good amount of work. Jordan's nursing a bit of a deep thigh contusion as well, but can't play the first half. Jordan's got a bit of a turf toe as well, so he's cleared to play, and he practiced yesterday. So, right now, a 3-man kind of rotation there at the safety position. So, yeah, you can expect to see a lot of work from those 2 younger players.
To be very clear, and Brian Kelly mentioned it, Jordan Gilbert drew the targeting penalty at the end of the ball game, so he can't play for the first half anyway. So when Gilbert went out, it was Deshaun Spears, the freshman from Denham Springs, who went in. If you go watch the game-winning touchdown by Woody Marks, the player contacting him at the goal line was Deshaun Spears, the freshman wearing number 10, who I think is going to be a very good player. I've told you this. He looks the part physically, looks like they're supposed to look. He's just a freshman who's now stepping on the field. I worry much less about a freshman stepping on the field week 2 against an FCS opponent than the first game of his career against Southern Cal in Las Vegas on that stage. But yes, I'm very excited to see how Deshaun Spears may play this week. And if Jordan Gilbert has a contusion, a thigh contusion, as Brian Kelly said there, and he's already going to miss the first half, the hope is the second half ain't competitive. You're emptying the bench anyway, and you don't need to play Jordan Gilbert. You heard him say there, Jordan Allen, your other starting safety. A little bit of a toe injury. He's got a toe. So hopefully you don't need him either. You can play Kylan Jackson back there and Deshaun Spears. And you got 2 young safeties and see how that goes. Listen, look at the participation report of this game anyway. And it becomes pretty apparent how many guys defensively LSU was playing. And that was evident all throughout fall camp, where, all throughout fall camp, you just saw this dramatic rotation of players, not only on the defensive side of the ball, but also in special teams. And it was guys like Jordan Allen, like Kylan Jackson, Deshaun Spears, Juwan Johnson at the star. We saw Kylan Jackson playing the star as well. You saw a 4-man rotation at linebacker. Devon Keys, the freshman, was next up there. I mean, I don't think this is a defense, as we've talked about, that is littered with All-Americans, but it's a defense that has a lot of talented players, some of them young, and the way you're going to try to win is by rotating fresh bodies and being effective in that way. And you saw a lot of that. Now, it's also interesting to look, staying in the secondary, Brian Kelly talked about this as well, at the cornerback position. Let's start with an update on Zy Alexander. We've talked about it plenty. Zy was your best cornerback last year. By the way, speaking of the importance of staying healthy in one of these games, it was the last play of the first half against Army that Zy Alexander tore his ACL last year. So yes, I want guys to stay healthy first and foremost. And Zy Alexander, who has been cleared and been a full participant, though they've still been ramping him up, and Brian Kelly says expect to see that accelerated this week.
Yeah, I think he's made really good progress. I think what you'll see is his workload as it relates to plays will increase dramatically over the next 4 weeks, and it will start this week on special teams, and then will continue then to pick up at the corner position.
So the next 4 weeks, connect the dots. Nicholls, South Carolina, UCLA, South Alabama. Then you go into your open date before you play Ole Miss. It's the thing we laid out on Tuesday when we came back from Las Vegas, which is, as much as that loss sucks, and it sucks, the Ole Miss game remains the biggest game on your schedule. Use the next 4 weeks where you are playing dramatically inferior opponents to get better, to get healthy, to win 4 games, and to go into your open date before you host Ole Miss to be ready to win that game. And Zy Alexander being healthy would be a huge component of that, because he was your best cornerback a year ago, and he might be still your best cornerback on this team when he's 100%. You got to get him there. In the meantime, Brian Kelly gave a couple of other names to keep an eye on out on the boundary.
The next level players for us become J.K. Johnson and Jer Brown. They have to continue to develop. And that's really where the cornerback room starts and ends, with Alexander, with Stamps, Woodland, the flexibility of Sage, and then Johnson and Brown. That's your cornerback room now, and that's most likely what your cornerback room is going to look like throughout the entire season.
For what it's worth, Jer Brown is the guy we saw in the field at the starting nickel spot. So throughout fall camp, whenever they went nickel, a 5th defensive back on the field, that was Jer Brown. We saw P.J. Woodland play some nickel. Woodland also replaced Sage Ryan on Saturday as well. They picked on him a couple times. Saw he had a PI, and then they went right back at him the next play, and he had a pass breakup on a play where he was beaten. But it's pretty evident who the guys are they count on. Now it's about using this next month to get them all more experience and more comfortability in this defense, getting ready for what's coming again on October the 12th in Baton Rouge with Ole Miss. All about that right now, and this is a good opportunity to get a lot of young guys work with Nicholls coming in. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.